rudolphstone.com. I'm your host Rudolph, and today we're going to be taking a look at MySQL databases. I'm going to show you how to create a database, tables, queries, and some other cool functions. So grab a cup of coffee or your favorite beverage, kick your feet up, and enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, how's it going? I already have my start menu open, so let's just dive right into some MySQL. I use command line client 5.6 MySQL, and a lot of people, there's a lot of software out there you can use for MySQL programming. So just take a look around, go on Google and figure out what works best for you. But this is what works best for me currently right now. So what I'm going to do is I am going to type in my password, and we are now in MySQL. Before I get into showing you how to create tables and queries and creating relationships between tables, I'm going to show you how to basically take a look at databases that you would already have created. Okay, so how would you do that? I have some databases that I've already created, and I can show you quickly before we get into creating tables. So one of the ways you can take a look at some of the previous databases that you've created is you can type in show databases. So I'm just going to do that, put the semicolon on there and hit enter, and these are all the databases that I've created. Now let's say, for example, I want to drop a database or delete a database and I don't need it anymore. I would simply type in drop database, and I will pick one from here. Let's say, for example, I want to drop pet shop. Say I didn't need pet shop anymore, and I'm gonna put a semicolon and enter, and as you see right here, query OK. That means that's letting you know that it's been dropped. Now if I wanted to see if it actually worked, or verify and say, hey, this database was actually dropped, I can type in show databases again, and you can see right here that you don't see pet shop anymore. Okay, so that's how you delete a database. Alright, so let's get into creating a database. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to type in create database. Before I do, I want to show you, just have one last look of all the databases that are right there, just so you can have a point of reference. Okay, and we're going to type in create database, and let's say, for example, we have let's come up with a scenario. Let's say, for example, we have a video game store who says, he comes to me, or the owner comes to me and says, hey, Rudolph, I want you to create me a database to where I can refer to my inventory, and I also want you to create within this database, I want to have my customers information, I want to have the video games I have in the store, all the inventory, and I want to but we're just going to stop right there. We're just going to have those two, for now. I'm just trying to come up with this off the top of my head. We're just going to have video games and customers, video game inventory and customers information. Okay, so let's create this database. The first thing we have to do is create database. We're going to say create database, and we have to name this database. So let's name it after this store. Let's call this store video, let's make that capital, video game central. That sounds really video gamey, if that's a word. Yeah, there we go. Otherwise, no, it's not. Yeah, now we have a database, and now we could take a look at this database. As you see right here, it doesn't appear here, but if we click, or we type in show databases, oh, sorry about that, got a little bit ahead of myself. Show databases. Make sure I got that spelled right. There you go. Okay. Video Game Central. Okay. Don't see that up there. So now you know that you got it. Now we have it created. That doesn't mean that we are inside of this database or have logged into this database. So what we have to do is we have to let MySQL know that we want to work within this database. So the way we do that is we type in use, then we have to put the database's name, which is Video Game Central, semicolon, boom. Now it says database change, which means that we are now working within Video Game Central. So now we are within the database. We need to create a table. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to create the customer table. Now generally when you go into a store, whether it be a DVD or a store where they sell DVDs or video games, they seem to always hand you this card or tell you to go to www.theirwebsitename.com, and whenever you go on their website, they have this form to where you put in your name, address, whether you male, female, street name, city, zip code, whole 9 yards. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a database that will hold all that information. So let's get started with creating a table that will hold the customer information. Alright, so let's type in create table, and we're going to call this table customers. I'm going to drop down to the next line and put a bracket. Now obviously when you have a customer, when you fill out a form, one of the first things you're going to type in is your customer name. Now I'm going to show you the commands, now we're going to get into some commands and what they mean. I'm going to type in varchar 30. 30. Okay. Now I'm going to explain this to you. Varchar means variable character. Now variable character means I can type up to 30 characters within that field. Okay. So whenever you have a customer and they're typing in, their name could be between 0 and 30 characters long. That's all that means, to make it simple. Next we're going to put in not null, which means we are requiring this user or this customer, when they type in this information, to basically put their first name. It's required to complete the form. We're going to drop down to the next line, and put they're going to put their last name, and you don't necessarily have to put 30. I'm just putting 30 because it's just like a rough estimate of how long people's names are. You have some people with really long names, so I'm just trying to give it enough space to where they have enough, put a decent number so they can have enough space to put their name in there. The next thing is street, the street name, and let's say let's see, put a varchar of let's make that 60. Some people have some really long street names. Okay, I like to double check behind myself to make sure I don't misspell anything like I did up there with the whole databases. Now we can put state. Let's put state in here, and let's give that a varchar of, let's say, 30. State names truly aren't that long. Let's double check behind myself. Okay, and we're going to put we can put, let's say, city. I give that a varchar. Now I was going to put 2 characters. I'm going to show you something else with that. I was going to put char, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to I'll show you that later on, what I'm talking about. On the next line, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Varchar city, varchar of 30 with null. Okay, so we're just gonna make something up here. Let's say, for example, let's say that these video games have a code, or let's say they have a code on the back of the box and it's only 2 characters. It can only be they all have 2 characters, for example. So let's put in, we can put in code, and we're gonna put in char. And what this char means is they can only put in 2 characters. It could be any 2 characters, but it has to be 2 characters. It can't be 2 characters less, and it can't be more than 2 characters. So we're gonna put in 2. Okay, so it has to be 2 characters. Exactly. It's the difference between varchar and char. Varchar could be from 0 to 30. Char has to be 2 characters. It must be. So we're gonna put in not null. So I want to show you that example and that command as well. Try to come up with something quick so it doesn't take a lot of time on a video. I just want to get that example in there to you. The next thing we can put in is the sex of the person, whether male or female, and you're going to want to put in well, a male or female enum. Okay, enum means that it has to be one of the other. Now I know that may sound a little bit confusing from char to enum, but enum, it has to be male or female. It can't be anything else. Okay, with this enum. The char, it could be any 2 characters. Okay, enum, it has to be male or female. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to put M or F. And the way I'm going to do that is you want to hold down Alt and then on your number pad, not the numbers going across on the top of your letters, but the number pad that looks like a calculator on your keyboard. Okay, you're going to want to use that, because if you use the numbers that are going across that are on the top of your letters on your keyboard, it's not going to work. It's just going to type in numbers. So you want to hit Alt and then go to your number pad on your keyboard, and you're going to want to press 3-9 and then release Alt, and you'll get this like single apostrophe right here. And then I'm going to put M for male and then hold Alt down again, 3-9, release Alt, and it'll give you that apostrophe. And we're just going to do that for the female as well. Okay, and then we are going to put not null. Drop down to the next line, and a lot of times you will have customers say, hey, I bought this video game around this date, or you know, they'll bring back a receipt or something like that. And some people say, you know, if you don't bring a video game back in within 90 days, then, you know, your receipt goes void, or you can't get your money back, or you can't exchange. So it would be a great idea to put in date entered. Okay, we're going to put in date entered, and then we're going to type in timestamp. I like to type this in caps, and you don't have to put not null. Okay, the next thing we're going to do that's to me that's really important with this is you want to have something that distinguishes your customers uniquely. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a customer ID, and we're going to put in int, which means this int right here means that it's going to be a number, but it's not going to be a decimal. Then we're going to put in unsigned, which means it's not going to be a negative value or a negative integer or a negative number. The next thing we're going to do is put in not null. We're going to require that, and we're going to type auto increment, which means we're not going to have to automatically come in here and type in 1 2 3 4 5 manually on a keyboard. MySQL will automatically give each customer a number, and we're going to type in primary key. Now your primary key is your unique identifier, which means that as I described before, or if I haven't, this is the unique number. MySQL or this customer ID is going to be how you can basically verify, or it's going to be a unique identifier. It's no one else in this table is going to have this number, or is going to have this customer ID. So if Tom has a customer ID of 1 2 3 4 5, no other person in the table is going to have the ID number of 1 2 3 4 5. Or if it has an ID number of A1, no one else in the table is going to have the customer ID of A1. The customer ID of A1. Okay, So that's really important because a lot of times, like for example, maybe if you have, let's say for example, you had two customers with the same last name and first name, some crazy, situation to happen like that, John Smith and John Smith. Well, now, one of them, their customer, their receipt may have expired 90 days ago, and then you have another John Smith who is within the receipt warranty, for example. So you're going to want to have that primary key right there. Just as an example, just me coming up off the top of my head with some things. So I'm going to hit enter, and you'll see this query OK, which means everything turned out great. We could take a look at this by typing in, let's scroll up. You can take a look at this by typing in, see, what do we call our table? Customers. Yeah. Describe customers, and then put semicolon, enter, and you can see everything that we put together for our table. Now, our table needs information. So where do we get this information from? We get it from our customers. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to type in, let's see, I'm going to try to come up off the top of my head with some, let's see, well, let me just go ahead and type this in. Insert into table values. You're going to put, one way to remember this is insert into table values. So just remember that when you have table right here, or you're not going to literally type in table, but this is one way I used to remember it when I was trying to remember my MySQL commands. So just remember insert into, then put your table name, then values. Okay. Then we're going to put, this is the part I was trying to come up with my head just now. Let's see. Let's call this guy maybe Thomas. Well, first, we're going to type Alt 39. Got to do that. And let's name this guy Thomas. Maybe Thomas Brown or something like that. Alt 39. See, Brown. And oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna want to follow everything that you put right here. So if you have first name right here, you got to make your first name. Okay, so Thomas, that's his first name. The second, okay, the second one is last name, so that's his last name. I'm gonna put a comma. Okay, and then street name, let's say street name is I don't know, 2390 Happy Face Way. Something crazy like that. And then we could put that, see, Alt 39 right there, so we get that apostrophe in there. And that's our street name and our state. Usually people put one character, but let's put Texas right here. Some people put for state 2 characters, but for the sake of just so you can see everything that's going on. People who watch this video may not be from the United States, so I just want to make sure that I write everything out. But generally what I would do is I will put this char. You see I have code right here, like that little thing I made up. You use char for state, for 2 characters if you want, if you choose to, but I didn't for this video. So state, okay, and then city, let's say Austin, so you got Austin, Texas, and then comma, okay, and for your code, okay, this is this little code that I was, we just made this up, this code. Let's say like I was talking about, if the person looked on the back of a DVD box or a video game box, and this code that you type in, maybe you get a discount or something like that. Let's say this code is I don't know, the code that he looked up, it had JH or D for discount and E forever, or F, E forever. And we see Alt and 39, and then comma, and then the sex, we're going to say Alt 39 male, okay, then comma, and then the date, for the date, okay. Now when you put the date in here, you want to put the year okay, and you're gonna put the month. Okay, generally when we put in a date in America, we put the month, the day, and then the year. But in MySQL, you put the year, the month, and then you put the day. Okay, but for the sake of this video, we're going to use the command now. So we're going to put now and then parentheses. Okay, so that's our date. So whenever someone enters this in, let's say they're on a computer, MySQL or the database will automatically know to put the time and date in that's currently on the computer. You know, that's very handy. And then we're going to put null. Okay, then we're going to close that with a parentheses and put a semicolon and hit enter. All right, everything went great. See the query okay, one row affected, everything is great. So now if we want to take a look at this in a table, we're going to type in select star from and then put the table name. Okay, so we're going to type in select, it doesn't matter if you have caps on, select star and then from, and then you're going to put your customers, okay, semicolon, and boom, there you go. So you see we have our first name Thomas, last name Brown, Happy Street Way, state, city, we just made up that little code right there, and sex, he's a male, and the time currently. You see that? Isn't that cool? You don't have to type that in, you just put the now right there and it automatically have that. And this is your customer ID code, or his customer ID code. There will be no one else in this table with the #1 customer ID code. We didn't have to fill that in either. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video right here. I'm not going to butcher you and have you watch me do this over and over again so I can populate the table. What I want to do is I want to put at least 4 more people in this table to give it 5. And then I'm going to create another table, and then I'm going to explain that table to you. That way I can show you queries and relationships as well. But to save time for the video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put at least 4 more people in here, and then I'm going to create another table similar to this, and I'm going to put the video games in there. I may come back and show you how to put the video games in, but more than likely I'll just create the table to save time on the video. So I'll be right back. Okay. Alright everyone, I have my names added to my customers table, the 4 more names, for a total of 5 names altogether. And I've created my video games inventory tables, just a little inventory of games that I created inside of a table. I'll show all this to you in a couple of seconds. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up our customers table. Okay, so we're going to say select, I'm going to click on the screen first. Okay, select from, let's go back, select star from customers, and there we go. This was the customers table. So we have a couple of more names. I did something on purpose, and I will show you to show you something later on. Let's say, for example, you make a mistake inside of your table, and you say, "Oh man, I messed up. How can I go back and change this?" I've also put 2 of the same name in here to show the customer ID. I'm going to do some examples with that as well. So I sort of put some mistakes in here on purpose to show you. Well, that's not so much of a mistake right here. This Jack Stone and Jack Stone, that's not a mistake. But for example, the Louisville, that's not a state. So I put some things in the table to show you how you can correct them, and how, you know, basically some of the tools I'm going to show you can be beneficial for you when you're creating your table. So let's take a look at, we have our customers table open, and now let's open up our video games table. So we'll have both of those tables open so we can take a look at those simultaneously. So we're going to put in select, hit our star, then from, and then go to video games. Okay, then semicolon, and that is the video games table I created. Okay, so what we're going to do is, we know how to create tables, we know how to create databases, or a database. So the next thing we're going to move into is how do we do a query? Well, I'm going to show you. The first thing you're going to do is, the way I've learned this, or the way I like to remember it, is select from where, or excuse me, where. So those three words, it's really what's going to help you. Okay, so you're going to select, you got to figure out what you're looking for first. So let's say, for example, we want to pull, we want to select the name. Let's say we want to select the name from a company. This is the name of the game. This is the company's name that created the game, where they're located, city, state, and the discount code that their games come with. Now, I'll show you a little bit later why I put both of these codes in here, because this code right here is the primary key for this table, okay, while the customer ID is the primary code for this table being customers table. Okay, so your customer ID right here is the primary key for this table, the customers, and the primary key for the video games table is the codes. Okay, they don't necessarily have to come last on the table either. I want to add that. Just happened by coincidence. So let's get into some queries. So if we wanted to select all the company's names, or let's say we wanted to know all the video games names, or the name of video games, let's do companies. That makes more sense. Let's say we want to select a company. You could just look right here. Sometimes it really helps if you well, if you have it exactly as it's written with the caps. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. So we're going to say select from, okay, select from the name of the table, video games. So we're just going to put in video games, okay, where, okay, now this is what we're looking for. When we put where, we're telling it what we're looking for. So we want to know select the companies from the video games table where, and let's say, for example, we want to know the video game companies that are only located in California. Okay, so what should pop up is Strong Whispers and Immortal Fight Club. I just make these names up, crazy names, right? The two California states. So we're just gonna put where equals, we already have that in there, okay, and then we're gonna write state, or we're gonna type state, if you got that down. And then we're going to put in CA. Oops, sorry. Okay, CA. Then we're going to put our semicolon. Okay. Now we're going to hit enter. Whoop. What did I do right there? Let's go back. I flipped that around. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. You can press down on your keyboard if you make a mistake to try to correct this, or up. So let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and type this in all over again. I'm going to select. I'm going to say we're going to select our company from our video games table, where the state, we're going to put our equal. Okay, and then we're going to put, let me see, where is California, states, California, it's California, okay, parentheses, California, semicolon. Okay, now I just want to make sure, I was taking a look at my table right here, I want to make sure that I put that in there right. Okay, alright, so as you can see right here, the company Firework Arts and 919 Studios. Take a look at that. Firework Arts, 919 Studios, California. Boom. It shows me exactly and only the companies that are in California, or the exact companies who are only in California. Excuse me. So this is a query is basically when you ask the database a question and it render you the exact information that you've asked for. So we asked for the companies that are in the video games table that are located in California. And it only gave us the companies that are located in California. Isn't that cool? Now, if you can imagine, if you had a database of millions and millions of customers or video games, this could be really helpful. So that is how you do queries. Okay, that's just something simple. You can get really elaborate, and maybe you can put in select maybe a company. Let's see if a lowercase will work. Select from let's see, video games where, let's see, let's make something up. Let's say the state equals, oh, got that bad. The state is CA, excuse me, or the state is, let's see, what are we gonna do here? Or we could say maybe Texas. Okay, yeah, Texas. Okay, then we're gonna close it up, and there we go. So we have all the companies that are located in California and Texas only, as you can see right here. Let's see where we're at. Texas Game Masters, located in Texas. See right here, yeah, the only one that we have for Texas. And California, Firework Arts, and 919 Studios. See? So whenever you ask the database a question, if you want to know specific answers, that is how you go about that. And this command is called, this is how you do queries. Okay? Now let's jump over to relationships. I'll show you how to build relationships between tables and why that's beneficial to you and your company. All right? Let's jump into that. All right, everyone, let's jump into creating relationships between tables or joining tables together. All right, let's create a scenario. Let's say, for example, the headquarters at Video Game Central, they would like to update their information and their systems regarding their customers and the video games that they have in their system, their inventory. Okay, so they give me a call and they say, hey Rudolph, we want to update our system regarding our customers and our video games and our inventory. So could you shoot us a printout, or could you email us a table that only has the customer's name, first and last name, and the video games in our inventory? And I'll say, okay, sure. Then I hang up. And if I didn't know better, I would say, wow, I'm in a heap of trouble. But I have a little trick. That is creating relationships between tables. Now, we know, as we can see right here, that the first and the last name is on a completely different table, which is the customers table, than the video games table. So how can I extract this information and put it on one table? Well, I'm going to show you how. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to type in select. Okay, here, let me click on this real quick. All right, there's our cursor right here. We're going to select the first name, okay, and the last name, and they wanted the first name, the last name, and the game name, so they can update their systems. And let's say that well, you're going to get it from your customers table and your video games table. So remember this: select, from, where, and. Okay, just remember that to keep it short in your head. It's a good way to remember it. So you're going to select first name, last name, and the game name, because that's what they asked for, from your two tables. So that's going to be your customers table, okay, and your video games table. All right. And let's say, for example, because we're just making this up as we go along here, let's say, for example, they want all the females on one table and they want all the males on one table. So we're going to do a male table first, because let's say, for example, they want to send all the males, you know, male merchandise, blue shirts instead of pink shirts, and, you know, so on. So we're going to make the first table we're gonna make the first table the mail table with all the video games and all the mails on the first on our first printout, or our first printout that we send to them or email to them, and then we'll make another table as well with all the females on there. So we're just making this up as we go along. So we'll say where the sex, say equal. We're gonna say alt 9, and we're gonna say male, alt 9 again, and then I'm gonna drop down here, and this is what I want to show you. You're gonna put in and you see right here where you see code and you see code. Now when you join in tables, you want to make sure that you have two columns that are the same. All right, they have to be the same in title, okay, the title, the name of the column, and in I guess you could say in variables as well. Okay, they need the same criteria. Now one of them needs to be a primary key. All right, so the primary key for this table is the code, and this will be our foreign key. This is what you call a foreign key. See, if you remember, we set the customer ID as the primary key in this table, which is our customers table, and we set the primary key, the code is our primary key in our video game table. So you have to make sure that this is how you have to make sure that you have a primary key, and this is your foreign key, and you have to make sure they're both the same in criteria so you can link them together. Okay, that's just to keep it short. So what you're going to do is you're going to put the table name first, and then you're going to put what you're basically looking for. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. So well, not what you're looking for, excuse me, so sorry. You're going to put the name of the column. Sorry about that. So what you're going to do is you're going to type in customers, and then dot, and then code, and then hit your equal, and then you're going to come here to video games, and you're going to put that in dot code, and then you're going to put a semicolon. All right, and then you're going to hit enter, and voila, there you go. We've just joined together. Basically, we didn't join the whole tables together. We extracted what we needed from these tables, which is in essence joining them together. So we have, if I had to read this table to you, it's selecting the first and the last name and the game name, okay, from our customers and video games table where they're only male. So you see that Thomas, Jack, you see both of them, all three of these, both of these, well, all three of them are all male. Thomas, Jack. Okay, now this is coming from this is the primary key right here, and this is the foreign key right here, customers.code. See that customers is the table, code is the column, customers is the table, code is the column. This is our foreign key right here, and as you remember, this is the primary key, and I'll show you this shortly. And I can send this off to headquarters and say, hey, these are all your mail customers, okay, and this is a list of the games that you want as well, or you know, or I could specialize it to where this is their favorite video games that they put into the system that they said that they liked upon purchase, before they purchased it, and said, hey, my name is Thomas Brown and I really like War of Earth 2, you know, and I could set it up like that. Or I mean, it's just a bunch of different ways you could do this, you know, set this up. But we can extract different columns and extract information and combine two tables together and get what we need. So we're just doing this on the fly right now, and you know, I'm just showing you how to extract information from two tables. Okay, so that is how you basically do relations between tables, or join tables together. And I do want to show you something to give you a visual here. Describe customers table is what we're going to do. And as you can see right here, you remember customer ID, and we put that as our key primary. Okay, I know I keep repeating myself, but it's really crucial that you get this. It's the primary key right here. I'm gonna pull that up. Well, if I pull it up, you're not gonna be able to see it, but we put this as the primary key. Okay, And if I, okay, then I'm gonna have to come down here and bring it up. Describe, oh, describe video games. And as you see right here, our primary key is the code. So if you see right here, code, that's our foreign key. Okay, if it's not the primary key, it's the foreign key, almost by default. So we're going to take this, it's almost like plugging this primary key into the code key and then allowing us to unlock this table, in so many words, if you have to use your imagination. So that is how you do joining tables together, or doing relations between tables, relationships. So I'm going to show you a couple of tricks and tips, probably 2 or 3, so you can basically navigate around MySQL. I'm going to show you how to basically delete a table, rename a table, and make some corrections. Okay, so let's get into that. Okay everyone, now I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that will really help you navigate more easier around MySQL. Okay, let's start out with how to change data within a table. So one of the first things you're going to do is you're going to let's see, where's it at? Right here, state Louisville. Now earlier I told you I was going to show you how to change this right here, so let's go ahead and change that. I'm gonna double click right here, and I'm gonna go real slow with you because it's not a it's not like a varchar or something we're really familiar with. Okay, so one of the first things you're going to type in is update. Okay, so we're telling MySQL that we're going to update the customers table. This is our customers table, and we're going to set the city. Was it state? Yeah, we're going to set the state, and we're going to, it's going to equal, we said it was going to be, put a space right here, and alt 39, and we said that this was going to equal, or this is going to say Kentucky. So we're going to type in Kentucky, alt 39, and then we're going to say where, and this is a point that I want to make. When you get to this point right here, we're going to take a look at this column right here. Okay, so let's see where we're at. Where are we? 3. Okay, so we're going to say customer ID equals, going slow with you, equals 3, and then we're going to put a semicolon. Okay, so if you got all that, if you're following along, we have update customers, set state. Okay, I'm going to explain this. We're going to update the table, we're going to update our customers table, and set the state to Kentucky, where the customer ID is 3, and this is 3. Okay, that's why I went slow, so you can have enough time to grasp all of this. So we're going to hit enter, and it says query OK, 1 row affected, and now we can take a look at our table by select star from customers, semicolon, enter, and let's take a look at that. Boom, it changed. 1 2 3. Before it said Louisville, 1 2 3. Now it says Kentucky. Now if we wanted to change that really quick and come to city and switch that, you can press your up key, and MySQL it remembers some of your commands, and you can press up, and update customer set state. We can come in here and change that state to city, change it to city, and we can type in Louisville, where customer ID is 3, press enter, and it's changed, and we can press select star from customers, semicolon, and as you can see right here, it says Kentucky, Louisville. We've made a correction just that fast. All right, you will do it faster with more practice. I just did it slow so you can keep up and basically grasp everything, and so I could break everything down for you. So that's how you do that. Now we're going to wrap this up, and I'm going to show you I'm going to create a table, and I'm going to delete that table. And that's the last thing we're going to do, the last two things we're going to do, and that will conclude our MySQL video. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump over to how to delete and rename a table. Alright everyone, I am now going to show you how to rename a table, and I'm going to show you how to delete a table. Okay, I've deleted a lot of these commands, the command lines that I had right here to clean up the screen a little bit. Okay, so let's dive right in. I'm going to type in show, let's move this cursor over, show databases, semicolon, and we're going to use the Mr. Lion software. So let's use Mr. Lion underscore software, semicolon, and enter, and the database, we're now in Mr. Lion software. Okay, so let's show some of these tables. Show table, semicolon, and these are all the tables that are inside Mr. Lion software. We're going to scroll down just a little bit, and let's say for example we want to rename the customers table, maybe something like that, or customers table. So what we're going to do is we're going to come here and we're going to type in rename rename table, and we're going to type in the name of the table currently, and then we're going to name type in the name that we want. So rename table customers, that's the name of the table now, to let's say customers sheet. I want to do something drastically different, and then we're going to type in a semicolon and enter. Let's see where we go wrong. Let's put some caps on that. Maybe that was the issue. Sometimes caps helps it. Rename table. Okay, customers, let's make sure we got that spelling right. Let's see, customers to I know where I went wrong with that. Customers underscore, don't forget that. Very simple mistake to make. And enter, and there we go. Query OK, OK rows affected, or 0 rows affected, excuse me. OK rows affected. Query OK, 0 rows affected. Don't forget to put in your underscore, very common mistake. Okay, so then what we could do is we could take a look at show tables, semicolon, and as you can see right here, it changed to customers sheet. Okay, so that's how you rename a table. Now if you wanted to drop that table and you don't want it to you don't want it any longer in your database, you can simply type in drop table. Okay, so now you have drop table in there. You type in customers sheet, semicolon, enter, and let's take a look at the show table, semicolon, and it's gone. Okay, so now you know how to rename a table, you know how to delete a table, you know how to change data within a table, you know how to create a database, and you know how to create a table. So I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I hope you learned a lot. Give yourself a pat on the back and a round of applause if you didn't have too much trouble. And have a great day, and thank you so much for following along. Also, before I go, I want to invite you to rudolphstone.com if you're interested in broadening your skills in different subjects such as Microsoft Access, Microsoft Excel. I have a video on marketing as well. If you want to know how to use Google Analytics and you just want some marketing tips to get your business off the ground. In addition to videos on graphic designing. I have something on Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Fireworks, and as you've already seen, MySQL. So if you're interested in that, you can see that all on rudolphstone.com. There's about 6 videos, so you can take your pick. And again, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope it hasn't been too bad for you or too difficult. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Have a great day.
Are you tired of searching through a mountain of resumes for a high-quality business and IT professional only to come up empty-handed? Well, your search stops here. Meet Rudolph Stone. He has 10 years of experience in the IT and business industry, not to forget his arsenal of skills. Rudolph not only brings a wealth of experience to the table, he also has a bachelor's degree in business informatics to make things all the more sweet. You can view videos of Rudolph in the video portfolio section of the site to see him performing his skills right before your eyes. So after taking a look at a professional like Rudolph, I'm sure you're just dying to see his full resume, right? Well, no problem. Just click on the Download Rudolph's Resume button to download his full resume and see all of his extensive experience and more. You can view it in infographic form or plain text. Want to contact Rudolph? Use the contact form at the bottom of the site, and he'll get back with you within 24 hours or less. So make the right choice. Hire Rudolph.